Chapter 1. Jonathan was fascinated by magic. For as long as he could recall, it had undoubtedly enthralled him. Perhaps it was the enigmatic nature of it that drew him in. He remembered witnessing his first act of wonder on the streets, when an old man had a random woman select a card from a deck. He could still recollect the old man's appearance. He had pale skin, veneered with a river of frozen ripples across his face. His cheeks sagged to his chin, as if pocketing small bundles of change. His eyebrows were white and bushy, veiling his eyes while complementing his dense mustache. He wore a classy suit featuring a tasteful vest beneath. A golden chain looped precariously from his vest, disappearing behind the flap of his jacket. On his head, he had on a top hat, which added to his already towering height. The woman appeared rather extravagant herself, donning a quite lavishing red dress with a brown fur coat, her brunette hair resting comfortably upon the fleecy collar. Even in the heels she sported, she barely measured up to the old man's chest. He held her gaze upon the card before returning it to its home in the deck, shuffling them while he entertained the audience with an array of phrases, gaining their laughter in return. After the cards had received enough attention, he fanned them out in a smooth and yet swift motion. Every card held their red backsides to the audience, all but one. In the heart of the arch row of cards poked the white tip of one rebellious one. At that moment there, everyone, including Jonathan, had gasped. The old man asked the woman to retrieve the card. As she did, he inquired if that was the card she had selected, and regardless, right or wrong, he would later tell her something about the card she was removing. The woman procured the card, staring at it before slowly shaking her head in discontent. Jonathan remembered how he felt at that moment. He felt sorry for the old man and held his head down in dismay. However, the old man wasn't finished. He simply shrugged his shoulders feebly before asking the woman why she had taken 2 cards from him. Confused, the woman argued back that she hadn't. Yet, the old man pressed on, ensuring that she had in fact taken 2 cards and that one was in her coat pocket. She was hesitant, but slowly she placed her hand in her pocket, and immediately her eyes lit up. Jonathan's lit up as well, unable to gauge the possibility of the old man's act. The woman removed her hand from her coat pocket, and to everyone's amazement, a card was in it. The old man once again asked her if the card she now held, the 2 of diamonds, was the card she had selected. With quivering hands, she was speechless, simply nodding, producing an extended smile and showcasing everyone the card. Everyone around applauded, but the old man held up his hands to gesture silence. He notified everyone that he had vowed to inform the woman something about the first card she had selected. He asked her if the first card had been her original choice before selecting the second one. She was speechless again, holding one hand to her mouth. After a few seconds, she claimed that it was, but that it was something she had decided in her thoughts. It was at that moment the crowd burst into a thunderous applause, even louder than before. The old man's lips curled into a satisfied smile, and he issued a long, leisurely bow. After that day, Jonathan was forever instilled with captivation. From then on, he recognized that a magician is what he wanted to become. Jonathan witnessed that act for 3 years. From that moment on, card tricks were the tool he toiled with, anxious to create a routine of his own that would have crowds applauding in amazement. Of course, this was all a pipe dream, if anything. He lived with his mother in a rather run-down part of the city. His father had passed some years ago when he was too young to remember. His mother had claimed that he died from stress of working so hard at the shoe factory, barely keeping their heads above water to make ends meet. They were just shy from being dirt poor. And with his father gone, the weight of that burden now resided on his mother, who worked long shifts. Jonathan tried to pull his own weight by getting a job as a paper route boy. Every morning, well beyond even the slightest glimmer of light, he would wake to meet his boss, Mr. Garrett, at the stand down the corner. Mr. Garrett, who was a rather impatient, pudgy fellow, was reluctant to hire the boy at first, but caved after Jonathan proved his worth by working the first few shifts free of charge. Jonathan was hard-working at his job, often finishing earlier than Mr. Garrett's past employees. Because of such, the man barely had anything to say against the boy. So when Jonathan went on again about the headline on the papers about the great Occam Cobb, he indulged the boy.
Oh, it's him again,
he exclaimed excitedly. Mr. Garrett was lazily fanning through one of the papers. He was an objectively large man, and always seemed to have a frown pressed across his lips. One of his hefty fingers rubbed his brow, after correcting the cabbie hat on his head. Afterwards, he lugged his attention from the paper he was reading.
"What's that?"
he asked in a monotone voice.
It's him, the great Occam Cobb,
Jonathan answered, giving the name his best announcer voice. Mr. Garrett sniffed briskly before returning his attention to the paper.
"No, that coot, huh? Is he still at it?"
At it? He's the greatest magician in the world, and it says he'll be performing here all week, starting next week. Mr. Garrett, did you hear what I said? He's coming here.
Jonathan repeated, in a voice even more excited than before. The elevation in his voice seemed to startle the man, as if pulling him out of a trance.
"That's great, kid,"
he said without looking up. The top of his hat bobbed from nodding.
It's fantastic.
Jonathan replied, staring wide-eyed at the black and white photo depicting a man. He was rather young, with black hair combed and greased to the side, complementing his classy suit. One hand rested just under his chin, with fingers curling around it, while an eyebrow was raised. His other hand, poked from under his arm, clamped tight to a wand. His entire expression seemed as though he was peering deep into Jonathan's eyes, almost inquiring him if what he would see was genuine magic or deception. Occam Cobb was Jonathan's favorite magician, or perhaps idol was a better word for it. Although he had never attended a show of the man, the rumors of his talents and reputation were enough to fuel his imagination of what the man could do. He heard nothing less than,
Occam Cobb was a true magician of the ages.
or
Occam Cobb defies the laws of physics.
or his favorite.
The great Occam has surpassed all of his predecessors, creating a new genre of magic.
Of course, these were all headlines on the newspapers, but even the words from people were no different. Regardless, Occam Cobb was coming to his city to perform. The thought alone set a spark of vigor through Jonathan's body. He immediately dug in his pocket to pull out a beaten set of playing cards. He was able to purchase them after saving up enough. At the time, he was uncertain to buy them, but his mother insisted that he could, since all he talked about was magic. She said it was okay, and that it would be his early birthday present for that year.
All right, Mr. Garrett, can you pick a card, please?
He asked, holding up the fanned-out deck. Mr. Garrett sighed behind the paper, before dropping it and sluggishly grabbing a card. He quickly peered at the card, barely looking at the face, before putting it back in. Jonathan smiled devilishly while shuffling the cards, attempting to once again give his best announcing voice.
So you picked that card, huh? You think that suit is the one to do it? It's possible I might never find it, but you can't resist the image of the card in your mind, can you? The card on the top will be the one you pick. Are you ready?
Mr. Garrett had a glazed look in his eyes, issuing another brisk sniff. With the awkward silence, Jonathan continued.
Okay. Is this your card?
He said, lifting the card, revealing it to him. The card revealed a three of spades. Mr. Garrett nodded with an unfazed face.
Yeah, that's it. Good job, kid. You're all done for the day, right? You can go home and see your bride tomorrow.
Jonathan barely heard his words, having returned his attention to the picture in the paper. He smiled to himself, admiring the photo. He knew Mr. Garrett had seen the trick a million times. He needed to make a new trick, though. One that would surely blow the minds of everyone away. Better yet, if he could meet Occam Cobb, even if just for a second, he could show him his trick. And maybe, just maybe, it will be enough to amaze even the greatest magician. Chapter 2. Occam Cobb would arrive in a week, which meant Jonathan had to create and perfect his trick in that allotted time frame. All throughout the next few days, he found himself contemplating on that trick, on what to do and how to do it. He began multitasking, pondering while working, while on breaks, and even before sleeping at night. With the arrival of the magician drawing closer, Jonathan began to worry he wouldn't be able to come up with a clever enough trick. However, 2 days before the inevitable day, a new trick had dawned on him. Throughout those final 2 days, he practiced the trick intricately, even threatening to be late on a few deliveries. He became more and more obsessed to perfect it, making sure to pay attention to all of the details until at last the week at hand had arrived. That day, Jonathan had never felt such a surge of anxiety and apprehension. He found himself stuttering a few times when talking to fellow customers, even with Mr. Garrett.
You all right, kid? You were a little skittish today.
For some reason, he had lost his voice at that point. He simply nodded a little. Mr. Garrett gave him a puzzled look, but gazed at the headline of one of the papers, stating,
"See the great Occam Cobb tonight!"
Ah, You're real nervous about that Cobb fellow.
he noted, giving off the first smile Jonathan had ever seen.
Tell you what, you can go off early today.
Jonathan's eyes lit up.
Really?
Yeah, go on, kid. Get out of here.
Mr. Garrett replied. With that, Jonathan took off, racing home, never stopping once until he arrived. He came across his mother, who happened to be on her way out. She was a frail-looking woman with a face stained with light wrinkles, mingling of stress and exhaustion. She stood with a slight hunch, more than likely a result from preserving the posture at the sewing factory. A few strands had managed to escape her poorly sustained bun, falling across her weary eyes. They widened when they recognized the boy running up to her.
Jonathan!
She exclaimed, while he greeted her with a hug.
What are you doing home so early?
Mother, you wouldn't believe it. Occam Cobb is here tonight, performing.
She shook her head in complete confusion, holding up a hand to her head.
Slow down, child. Catch your breath first.
He smiled, pausing for a second before attempting to repeat the news.
Occam Cobb, Mother. He's here tonight, performing.
She closed her eyes, rendering a soft sigh of relief before giving off a sheepish smile.
That's wonderful, Jonathan. I thought something terrible happened.
No, it's the greatest thing ever.
Well, that's good, dear. Why don't you head inside? I started to warm up some soup for dinner.
Well, Mother, I was wondering if it was maybe possible for me to go.
Jonathan, we've been over this. I don't mind your little card acts or pulling a fast one every now and then, but we've got to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. We ain't got the money to spare, certainly not to just go and watch that fella's ridiculous show. You understand?
Jonathan felt his heart grow heavy. His eyes fell to the ground. He sighed, nodding.
Yes, I understand, Mother.
Good. One day you'll get over all this magic, and when you do, you'll look back on this moment and see it was the right thing. Anyway, I've got to get going,
She said, issuing a light kiss on his forehead. Afterwards, she parted ways, disappearing down the street. Jonathan felt his eyes grow watery. A few tears escaped, rolling down his cheek. He quickly rubbed them away. His appetite had diminished, not caring for the meal his mother had prepared for him. Instead, he began walking down the street with his head still lowered. Along the way, he could see a man with a tall pole lighting the candles of street posts. Around him, the skittering of paws could be heard from the stray cats that ran amok. The sky grew cooler and darker, the street lights becoming his only guide in the darkness. In the distance, he could see another set of lights, brighter than the area around. Upon inspecting, he could tell it was coming from the city's grand theater, where Occam Cobb would perform. He made his way toward the building, observing the crowd of people flooding slowly inwards.
Witness the great Occam Cobb
Was spread in large letters across a long banner hanging in the front. The people were all dressed lavishly with men in noteworthy suits, some with comparable top hats, even a few with canes. The women wrapped along their arms were ones to gleam as well. They glowed with gorgeous dresses, coats of a most extravagant fur, and jewelry that pirouetted at every movement in the light. They muttered among themselves while the line traversed forward to a man at the door accepting their tickets. The people were about to witness the performance of a lifetime, he thought to himself. Unfortunately for him, he was left to simply speculate on what marvels he would be missing out on. After several more minutes, the crowds have subsided, completely contained within the white structure. The air around had reverted back to its ensnaring stillness.